Greetings, rebels to King George and curious others. It's Sunday the 16th of September, 2012. I saw a fine film last night that I'd like to recommend for all you fellow liberty lovers out there. It's called Manus. It's Norwegian and was released in 2008. It's set during World War II and tells the fascinating story of real-life resistance fighter Manus, whom I'm embarrassed to say I'd never heard of before. Most of this 1 hour and 57-minute film, which is never boring or ponderous, is subtitled, so don't plan on multitasking. The exception to this is a short bit that takes place in Scotland, where Max and other Norwegians like him went to get the special training they needed, including the use of explosives. They were schooled directly by the best of the British military, and the skills they acquired allowed them to conduct, and oftentimes succeed, in their undercover covert operations back home against the Nazis. If possible, resist watching it online. Though that's always convenient, you'll miss the mini documentary included on the Netflix DVD. Trust me, it is as worthwhile as the film. I'd also suggest you watch it after you see the film. I think you'll be more impressed, perhaps amazed, at how so many of the actors really do resemble the historical figures that they portrayed. You will also meet Manus himself, after vicariously experiencing a dramatized portion of his life. He speaks in several film clips, serenely, sincerely, almost nonchalantly, about various aspects of his dangerous undercover work during World War I. As a revered national hero in Norway, he clearly did interviews several times over the years, one of which was in 1996, the year prior to his death. This one was featured prominently in the documentary. One very minor criticism I had was that those archived footages and film clips featuring his family might have been more fully dated. But in the documentary, you'll also get to see some of his contemporaries. And in particular, Manus's wife is featured and speaks about her hopes being realized that a movie like this feature film would ultimately be made in honor of her husband. She also spoke lovingly of the stalwart nature he showed all through their life together, even though events from his war experiences in Finland and in his service in Norway, particularly the loss of his compatriots on those covert missions, always weighed upon his mind. It was clear she and he had forged a strong companionship in those days and remained friends throughout a marriage which spanned 5 decades. Lessons from Manus's resistance. Here are the 3 most valuable resistance concepts I took away from the film and from the documentary. First, being a battle-hardened veteran is good, but covert actions may leave you feeling let down. Your hit-and-run style rarely puts you face-to-face with your sworn enemy. Next, that an occupation enemy becomes amorphous, chameleon-like. Resistance fighters must consider the effects of collaboration. Once sufficient time passes and hardships or shortages and then special carrot-like privileges are factored in, the people you've trusted or even loved all your life, whether across a classroom, an office, or anywhere, even at home, can become your enemy tomorrow. Lastly, don't wait for the crowd to do something. Not that Manus necessarily waited to follow the herd, but he did make the point that an opportune time had come and gone long before he began to think about organizing. And that was in the documentary from the very man himself, not the actor working from a screenplay. The Nazis originally came in a small force, he related. They were not resisted, so they brought in, of course, more and more. By the time young men like Max realized nobody else was going to do anything and that he or they would have to, there were already hundreds of thousands of armed and reinforced Nazi invaders on the ground, with his Norwegian homeland in a full lockdown. But nobody in their right mind would wait for today's crowd. It doesn't take an Einstein with wall-to-wall blackboard space to go figure just how deluded the typical crowd in 2012 America is. Can you say Jersey Shore or the Kardashians? Unfortunately, this miraculous light-speed infotainment superhighway that every school child in America supposedly needs their own private laptop for, and that you and I can actually use constructively and creatively, is doing a great job of killing more than just kids' brains. Just this afternoon, Sunday, the last 18 Google hot searches spanning the previous few days are, except for 2 of them, all television, royal or Hollywood celebrity, gaming, or some other entertainment. Other meaning the latest releases of electronic devices or toys for supposed grown-ups. And one of those paltry 2 out of 18 non-entertainment uses was, technically speaking, entertainment related. It was a search for Coptic Christians distancing themselves from any connection to that amateur American movie trailer parody of Muslims. The quality of that 15-minute short tested the First Amendment and strained not only the definition of entertainment, but of storytelling as well. Its incoherence aside, unfortunately, it provided an apparently much-needed excuse this past week for Muslims around the world to freely commit very telling yet monstrously unentertaining murderous rampages against U.S. citizens and embassy territories. Another long, dark night is on its way, by snail. Might the rest of us be doing what remains of the West's so-called culture a favor if we could wave a wand and magically put it out of its misery now? Especially considering all the other mind-numbing reality that the American middle mass, the under-the-bell curve crowd is ingesting. Must we really wait for that long dark night to arrive via what seems like the uphill snail mail? And where's the Scotland for tomorrow's resistance fighters? Max Manus and his men had a refuge to retreat to where help was ready and willing and actually seemed to understand the danger Norway was facing. Again, watch the documentary after the film to see his quote-unquote short hop, skip, and a jump from Norway to the Scottish training camp. It actually took 7 or 8 months, if I remember correctly. That trip involved a circuitous path that doubled back on itself and even went around the Horn of Africa. Fortunately, we don't need to take near as long to get to our camp. Sorry, Virginia, not only is there no Santa Claus, there's obviously no Scotland to sail to anymore. But I believe there are still harbors on the internet where like-minded liberty lovers can gather. So many skills, so little money. There's a wealth of collected wisdom just waiting for the curious enough to seek it out. Whether by reading the 2 books Max Manus wrote shortly after his experiences in World War II, or from modern-day fighting men. These folks share their skills and knowledge, much of it for free, and do so in many places, including, of course, YouTube, for all its faults. Need a kickstart? Search Prepper. Check out the links below, and until next time, keep rebelling.